All right. I guess I'm up, right?
You are.
Hey.
I'm trying to figure out where everybody is. I'm coming over to you, Vicki.
Okay. I was going to say, let's just all hang out here on the stage if we can make that happen. It's always fun navigating. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how are we doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
All right. Let's see. We're going to get this thing going here. Is Ryan with us? Maybe not yet.
I don't see Ryan yet. So many people.
We'll give him.
It was hard to get in the auditorium, which is always a good problem. So maybe he's having the same.
Right. It took me a little while to get in here. It was crowded. It's a good thing. All of us are at home right now, so we can take in more of the classes and more than normal. So that's nice. All right. I guess we'll just go ahead and get started, and then if he comes in, where are you guys? Are y'all behind me?
I'm behind you. Yeah, I'm kind of.
You're behind me. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. There we go. I'm gonna back up so I can see who's here. All right. We'll wait for We'll just, if Brian comes in, he can introduce himself, and we'll get started. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and this is my first time moderating. I've been part of the ICONversations before as the panel, but not as the moderator. And I'm gonna do something. If you've been a part of ICONversations before, I'm gonna do a little bit different today, just because of everything that's going on, in our world. And I just thought, first of all, we'd just take a moment, just maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and let's just all just have a moment of silence. And if you're a person and you want to pray, you just want to be silent, whatever, but there's a lot going on. So let's just take that moment, take these few minutes or about 30 seconds to do that. Okay. All right. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. And, thank you, Brian and Elizabeth and Ryan. I don't know if you're in the house yet, but, for being a part of the panel. And I just wanted to, I've got some questions I'm going to go down. And like I said, there are some typical questions that we sort of follow at times, but I think during this time, I want to do something a little bit different. And we'll hop over to some of the common questions that we ask, during this time, but to start off, I'll just let, I'm Vicki Coleman. I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and I've been in real estate now this summer will be 6 years, and I've been with EXP coming up on my third year this June. I iconed last year, or in my second year with EXP, and I'm, looking like I will icon again this year. If all my transactions stay together. And I'm a single agent, and I've never had a team. I have a transaction coordinator, but I'm out there doing it on my own and just building my business mainly by relationships. I'm huge about being involved in the community, and basically bloom where you're planted, and just get involved in the community as much as possible. And that's what I would honestly contribute most of my success to. But anyway, so let's hop over to Brian. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Brian Simmons. I'm from Southern Oregon, Jackson, Josephine County areas is kind of where I focus. Similar to Vicki, I'm a single agent. I have a transaction coordinator who handles the paperwork side of things, but I pretty much handle the rest of it. Average sales price for me is about $300,000. And last year was my first year with EXP, and my first year as an icon. I got licensed in March of 18. And so 19 was my first full calendar year of the business, and was, fortunate enough to make Icon. So there we
Awesome.
go. Yeah.
Awesome. And Elizabeth Riley.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Riley. I'm in Austin, Texas. I have been licensed in 15 years next month. I've been with EXP 5 years next month, and I just hit my 5th icon, which is amazing. The opportunities this company provides to us is just amazing. I am a single agent, although I have the Lux Property Group. We are a group of, there's 5 of us, and we're individual agents, but we work together in the ways of collaborating and accountability, and we just work under my brand, but we're all individual agents. So they don't pay me splits. Their business is their business, my business is my business, and I have a transaction coordinator that I've had for about 8 years, and without her, I could not do what I do. Sorry, let me turn this off. My business is based on referrals and sphere of influence. About 100% of my business is past clients or referrals from people that I know in my world. And I just love all my people, so I'm really, really intentional about that. And what else? It's a little bit interesting because I have 4 little ones and they're all at home, and so I'm trying to figure out the whole work thing and homeschooling thing. And I definitely am not a good teacher, I've learned. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, if you guys get an opportunity to hear Elizabeth talk about her, I guess how you run your business. You teach, don't you teach a class in here on that?
I do.
On your, yeah.
I do, and I actually taught in the Excel training program about a week or so ago. I think it's still recorded, but I teach on what I do all the time, and I just love sharing.
Yeah, and you guys definitely need to check that out if you haven't had an opportunity to see that. And I think, Ryan, you're with us now, so you can introduce yourself. Welcome.
Hello. Yeah, sorry about that. For some reason, I was getting a glitch with getting in, but yeah, I am in Ashland, Kentucky, which is a pretty small little town right where Kentucky, West Virginia, and Ohio come together. I've been with EXP, I guess, since 2017 now. So entering my 3rd year, I came in October of 2017. Did I cut out?
Yes.
Okay. So
I think something's going on, Ryan. We're having a hard time hearing you.
I'm having like black dashes go through the screen and stuff, but I think I've got the audio worked out.
Okay. You there?
Yes,
Ryan?
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, you finished? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I wouldn't know if you were blanking out there on us. You were finished. Okay, great. Thank you, Ryan. So I wanted to ask each one of you, and I guess we can just start with Brian. What are you doing right now, Brian, in your real estate business to adapt to the current situation that's going on with COVID-19?
Nothing special, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the same thing I've always been doing. I get up at the same time and I go to work in the same way that I always have. And that seems to be working. And so, it's obvious that there are changes and those sorts of things. But I haven't been just sitting on the couch watching Netflix. So I think that's half the battle, is just staying motivated and just being disciplined and staying in the office and grinding it out and putting in the work. And if anything, I'd say I'm, reaching back out to some of my past clients from the past 12 months and just touching base with them. And, like the tail end of the last meeting, I heard him say, just touch base with people and ask how you're doing. I sent out a bunch of texts yesterday, just checking with people. Because you never know. I mean, just staying top of mind with them and seeing what, maybe they heard somebody who's wanting to sell or buy or whatever. So but primarily just more of the same.
All right. And what about you, Elizabeth? Are you with us? All right, Ryan, you go and answer that question while she's having a little glitch.
Yeah, I would say somewhat similar to Brian. I'm doing a lot of the same things that I did prior to. Probably a couple different things that I'm doing a little differently is that I'm really dialing in a little bit better on some of the tools and the resources that I've had, and creating some new things and trying to get in a position that whenever the market does open back up, because we will get through this and it'll get back to normal at some point. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm as prepared as possible for whenever that does happen, making sure that my team has additional resources. And then, of course, like I said, still doing things like Brian said, where I'm really digging into past clients, digging into leads that I do have coming in, those that are comfortable. We're lucky to be in a state that's still allowing us to get out there and work for now. And so just being very careful and cautious with that, trying to make sure that I keep informed with lenders that I've either been working with or trying to build some additional lender resources due to the fact of how much change is going on, and some are more able, or some are in a better position to do things than others. So really just making sure that I keep people close to me that are able to help moving forward.
Right. Okay, good. But did you hear the question?
What are we doing right now in the current situation?
Yeah.
Yeah. I could hear everything. I couldn't control anything. So sorry about that. This is going to sound odd saying this, but it's an unexpected gift of time. And it is forcing me, I've been self-quarantined with my family for 23 days now, I think. And so it's just forcing me to go back to the basics and loving on my people and truly, authentically checking in with them. I keep telling people, just get your list, get your database, get your neighbors. And I print out my list. I start with A's and I call everybody. And I'm just saying, how are you doing? I know this is a unique time. Is there anything I can do from a distance? And just checking in. I'm not talking real estate. I'm not pitching real estate. I am truly just trying to get in touch with them and understand how they're doing and if there's anything I can do. Here's the interesting thing I'm finding. I'm very, very connected. I feel very, very connected. I'm in here with almost 400 of my family right now, right? But what I'm realizing is when I'm talking to people is that they are not connected. There are so many people that are isolated. There's so much fear out there. And so many of them have said, thank you for reaching out, just hearing a calm voice. So I'm just reaching out to everybody. That's what I do anyway. I don't usually get on the phones. I don't like talking on the phone. But again, I have nothing but time right now. So I'm sitting there talking to them. I'm sending notes. I'm keeping them updated on emails. And I'm just being a resource for them. And so that takes up a lot of time. But even with the family and my neighbors, my girls and I and my boys to some extent, we've baked. And my little ones will draw pictures and we walk around the neighborhood and we're putting everything on people's doorsteps and just saying, hey, we're just thinking about you, and just loving on our neighbors and the people close to us that we take for granted because our lives are so busy otherwise. That's what I'm doing.
I saw somewhere, it sounds similar to what you're doing, but a realtor was going in their neighborhood and basically just putting a note in people's in their mailboxes and just saying, is there anything I can do for you? Practical, like, do you need something from the store? Is there anything I can do for you? And this person actually had several responses back from some people she didn't even know in her neighborhood that were elderly that couldn't get out, and didn't feel comfortable going out. So she actually did a grocery store run for both of these ladies. So to me, that was, very practical and what you're talking about, just loving on the people that, God has put in your path and in your, basically in your community where you can go out and walk and maybe drop a note or something like that. So that sounds very similar to what you're talking about. So that's good. All right. Thank you. Elizabeth, I don't know about you, Ryan, but I think Brian and I both are newer. We were not part of the housing crash in 2018, or excuse me, 2008. But Ryan, were you in real estate during that time?
No, I got my license in 2017.
Okay, I didn't remember when you said that earlier because you were breaking up. But Elizabeth, you were. So what do you see different, with what's going on right now and during that time?
Well, maybe I'm a little too optimistic all the time, but the funny thing about that time period was I was licensed in Georgia first. I originally got licensed back in 2005. And when the crash happened, my husband was we were transferred to Austin, Texas in 2008. So when I moved here, I didn't know anybody. I knew real estate, right? But I didn't know my way around. I didn't have a sphere. And everybody thought I was crazy. They said, you're getting in a business at the worst time. And I was like, hold on a minute. I just came from Atlanta where we burst, right? And we were doing short sales and foreclosures. Austin, we were a little bit incubated from that, I guess you would say. And so I thought, again, I saw it as opportunity. Here's my chance. So I was not new in real estate, but I was new in a new market in that time. And I just hustled, right? A lot of people, when they put their head in the sand and they froze, which I'm seeing a lot of people doing this now. And so I want to encourage our EXP family not to do that, y'all. We are so well positioned to help people right now when other agents or buyers or sellers or anybody. But instead, what I did is I took that opportunity to get out and meet people. I only had one kid at the time. He was 18 months old. We got in, we walked around the neighborhood and we knocked on the doors and we were like, hey neighbors, we just moved here. We want to get to know you. How are you? And again, just get into relationships. And that's how I built my business in 2008 and became one of the top agents here in my market. When everybody else was retreating, I was being proactive and just getting out there and just being me and doing whatever I could to build a new business.
All right, great. That sounds awesome. How much time do each one of you spend each day? Let's just say do you spend in lead generation? Or, reaching out to your sphere? Whoever wants to go. Brian, you want to go first with that?
Yeah. I spend several hours a day on that. I'd say probably 3. And some of it's calling, people in my CRM. I do a lot of realtor.com leads and stuff. And so I spend, some time calling them and following up and texting and doing those sorts of things. And I also, I put social media in that same category, lead gen. And so I spend, a good hour a day doing that. And yeah, so I'd say I'm in that 3+ hours a day.
Are you doing that currently, kind of the same thing, but just it looks a little differently?
Yeah, so I'm doing that. And then also kind of to touch on something that Elizabeth said in terms of the unexpected gift of time. I'm also, yesterday, for example, I went back through all of my campaigns and I completely, rewrote some of the automated text that I have going out and updated some of the articles that I send to people and that sort of stuff. And so just, I spend the time to actually, actively try to reach out and get business from people, but also to make sure that I'm constantly improving what I'm putting out there. And so, trying to get a lot of that done too.
Okay. Ryan, what about you? How much time do you spend daily doing lead generation?
I've actually increased that, during this time. I would, probably typically spend around a couple to 3 hours before. Now I'm probably have increased that to 4 to 5 hours of, like Brian said, for me, social media and Facebook lead generations is big, but I also do the realtor. And so I'm spending a lot of time following up with the people, getting into actual conversations more so than maybe I did before, to where we were just trying to really focus on a home and finding what they wanted. Not that I didn't have good relationships before, but we just end up talking about, deeper things. And so I've actually, went through, I've created a a new hashtag within my KV core around this virus, and people that have brought that up actively and are talking about how they want to hold out and see how things go, whether they're going to lose jobs and those kind of things. So that way, those people that are not ready to go right now because they're just truly scared, or they're paused, or they're stalled, and that's fine. Everybody deals with things in a different way. So I'm engaging with them in a different kind of capacity. So to me, it's still lead generation. It's just in a different way that resonates with them. So that way, whenever we do get past this, they'll be some of the first people that, I kind of start coaxing and getting back out to the market. I've also, doing some of the similar things with the way that I send out messages and things that I would say before through KV Core and those auto-generated messages. I'm changing some of those to be a little more sensitive and a little more cautious and thoughtful with the information that I'm sending out.
Right. Okay. That's good. And Elizabeth, what about you? How much time do you spend lead generating each day?
Kind of a hard question, because especially right now, because my schedule's all a little bit crazy with 4 of them in different schools and grades and stuff. I'm trying to balance it. I'm noticing I'm working a lot more though, because I'm not running around so much. I'm actually here. I am doing things in a little differently. I'm checking in with clients, but like this morning, I sent an email out to about 400 people just with my process and letting them know, okay, this is what our governor has said. This is what this means. If you're a buyer, if you're a seller, just letting them know what our process is, because I have so many people reaching out to me asking questions about the news that's coming out and what does that mean for real estate, or what does that mean in the industry? And so I figured, well, if a number of people are asking me, then probably more people have questions. And so that was just another way to touch them. And then whenever I think about it, I can take a few cards and write a few letters, but I'm really focusing on building up some of my virtual open houses and my virtual marketing, if you will, and setting things like that up and letting my clients know. So I don't know if there's a specific time I'm spending per day. I just feel like I'm working sometimes 8 till 6 with a few breaks in between. So I'm just being really, really strategic in what I'm working on.
Right. And that was going to be one of my questions is, how are we adapting, with our businesses right now? One is the virtual tours. Are you doing that now? Is that something you're doing yourself, or is that you're having it done professionally? Open houses, or you do? Yeah, you. Since you, and I'm going to ask the other Brian and Brian too.
I'm not doing them myself. First of all, I'm not very good with technology or video or any of that stuff. I bought like one of the little smooth cameras, and I planned to do this when this all started, but then when we got shelter in place and it got really, really bad, I've just made the decision. I know there's a lot of people out there still working and showing homes and things like that. I've just made a decision to stay home. And so I'm not showing properties, and I had to figure out how I get around that. And so what I did is our EXP 360 tours is an amazing, amazing tool. I already had some things in the works though, but for all of my other listings that are coming up, I'm going to definitely use them. So if you don't know about what we have to offer on that, go into Workplace, find the group, get trained, and use our affiliated partners in that way, because it sets us apart from everybody else. But what I've done, and I actually learned a tool this week from one of our agents in Arizona. She was doing a virtual open house on Zoom, and I was like, hey, I want to come to this. I want to learn what you're doing. And so she taught me and she showed me. And so I'm doing a Zoom virtual open house on Saturday, and I'm just using it with my Matterport video that I hired somebody. I don't have the time or patience or expertise to go out and do it myself. So in that situation, I pay for convenience, and there's photographers and people that do that for me. And then I just upload it and put it into I just use it in different ways. So you can do it yourself if you want. In Austin, it's just, what I'm realizing is a lot of people are still very, very sensitive. I've had people, full transparency, I've had people reach out to me, friends of mine, good friends of mine, and bash me because that I'm still working. And, half America has lost their job and people are dying and you're still out there working. And And I had to take a step back, and I was pretty upset by it, because I was like, what do you mean? I'm just doing what I need to be doing for my clients. But then there's perception, right? And I had to take into account how everybody's handling this very, very, very differently. So personally, I don't want to go out there showing properties. Secondly, I don't want to go out there showing properties and have backlash from people thinking I'm being insensitive. But if I have a virtual tour or a virtual walking 360 tour, I'm being creative and I'm being innovative. I'm not being insensitive. And so that's what I'm implementing into my business.
Okay. What about you, Ryan? Are you doing any of that right now?
Yeah, I've started.
Go ahead,
Ryan, do you want to go?
No, go ahead. I just was clarifying if she said Brian or Ryan.
I said Ryan, and then yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm doing some of the same things. For listings that I have, I am doing the iSpy 360. I've actually got the equipment, and I took the time. Went ahead and was doing those myself. So I'll get those uploaded. They're fantastic, allowing to do live virtual tours. Another thing that I'm offering to all of my clients, I did this a lot whenever I will get a lot of clients that are, overseas and military in the past, and I would do virtual or do Facebook walkthroughs, for other properties that I hadn't listed. So I've offering that up to all of my clients that, still are interested in kind of looking, but may not want to get out of there. Or if I have a seller that isn't wanting a bunch of people coming through there, but they still want to actively sell, sometimes that's a good middle ground to where it's just one individual. I go in, have the appropriate precautions to just try to stay out there and as relevant and help the people that do want to be helped and that are still trying to move forward, even in this climate.
Okay. Brian, are you doing some virtual stuff as well?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just kind of business as usual, other than the
Right.
obvious, practicing the hygienic habits and using hand sanitizer and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of hard, Elizabeth, what you just said. It's a little bit tough. Like I have next week, I had 10 folks or 10 clients under contract all about the same time, and 5 of them all decided they need to close next week. A couple of them were delayed, and then the other 4 are supposed to close next week, and doing the walkthroughs and the meeting with the builder next week. I feel a little funny about going out. I'm not really but I mean, I have my mask and I have my gloves and I'm doing all the safety precautions, but it does feel a little weird. And I do think people look at you sometimes and go, are you trying to keep doing business as usual? So it makes you feel a little weird, but I mean, I've got to still serve those people and do what, I would do had this not happened, because they are under contract and they have to close. But yeah, it's definitely a weird time for sure. All right, well, we're gonna keep going down and answer some more questions. This question is always funny to me, because if it's like me, I don't know that I'm not sure what mine would be. But I think it's just about relationships. But Brian, what would you say your secret sauce is to your success in real estate?
I would say there isn't any. There is no secret sauce.
Right.
This, in my opinion, having not been in real estate for a long time, this business isn't rocket science. And I don't mean that to like undermine anybody or to sound arrogant or anything like that. But in reality, like this, just a lot of people know what it takes to be successful. You answer your phone when it rings, you pick up your phone when it's not ringing. Mm-hmm. It's just sales is what it is, and it's the same as any other business where you're in sales. So to me, there's no secret sauce. I mean, it's we know what needs to be done. It's just whether or not you have the discipline to do it. And that's really, comes down to me. I mean, so I have a poster in my office that says, hold on, let me get over to it so I can read it to you exactly. But ask yourself if what you're doing today is getting you where you want to be tomorrow. And that's really what it comes down to, is the action. So If it's, any secret sauce, I guess I'd say it's the focus and the discipline to be able to know that I need to be, doing the right things every day to get me where I want to be.
Right. All right.
But I'd hardly
Ryan,
call that secret sauce. I'd call that just, doing the right stuff.
Right. Ryan, what about you?
I think it's simply working every day, trying to improve. I'm always trying to find new things, new tools, new ways of looking at it, talking to people that are smarter than me, and having systems, I guess, is probably the biggest, if you call it a secret sauce, is, I do have very precise systems that I try to stick to, try to work with, and adapt as times changes and things evolve, or something better comes that can help me improve what I'm doing. So I think it's just constantly getting up and trying to be better than I was yesterday, and not just resting on success from the past.
We're going to circle back around to that in a minute when you said precise systems. But before we do, Elizabeth, what about you, your secret sauce?
I don't know that I have a secret sauce. I think it's just being real and caring about people and caring about my clients and knowing who I am in my business, and not comparing myself to others. I always say comparison kills joy. And, I could be completely intimidated standing up here with Brian and Ryan and Vicky saying, oh my gosh, look at how they're doing business. But I know what I'm good at, and I'm just staying true to myself and staying true to my clients. And I'm extremely responsive. I'm extremely just consistent. And I think that's what makes me different in my market.
Okay. Now, Ryan, you said that about having precise systems. That for me, when I first got into real estate, it was probably my biggest struggle. Up until I actually came to EXP, did I really have a good system? And I still wonder about it sometimes. But how do you track your business? What are your systems that you use to do that?
Well, one of the things that I have for cold leads, I have a written out, I don't have to use it as much, at this point, because I know exactly, I've done it for so long, but I have a 7-day follow-up for any cold leads that come in, that I may generate from whatever resource, before I really let KV Core take over. And then I have KV Core set up in such a way to follow up with people to try to get the type of response that I want. And I do that in a very specific way that I send a text, email, or phone call on what I'm doing each day. And then same way with listing, the listing presentation. I've got a detailed listing presentation that I have that's very specific. I've written it in such a way that it also holds me accountable in regards to things that I'm going to do for the clients, so that I can't get busy, if that makes sense, of just going, oh shoot, I was going to do that, but I got 5 other deals or something to that effect. So a lot of the things that I've done is to hold myself accountable. In the same way with phone calls, I will typically, it's probably a little less structured at this point because we're just in a crazy time and there's more time where you're not out with clients than you were in the past. But I would do time blocking as well, to where I'm doing specific times and specific things at specific times. And with some of my clients, that's also got them to the point where they know, okay, it's between 2 and 4, there could be a Ryan call coming, or whatever it is that I'm doing at that point. So I try to be very specific in the way I follow up with people and the way that I do things and the way that I educate myself, because that's another time block, is trying to learn another new tool. Another thing that I have is I do have, I have an Excel spreadsheet. I do write a business plan every single year, and I adjust that, at 3, 6, and 9 months to see how I'm at. Am I tracking ahead of that? So that way I'm very specific and very, direct with what I'm trying to accomplish and how those things are progressing.
Okay. Elizabeth, how do you track your business?
Okay, so this is when I say, do as I say, not as I do, right? I am really bad with systems and tracking, and I'm trying to get better. I'm actually looking at different CRMs right now that might make it a little bit easier, but right now, I just really have most of my stuff in Excel. I have Wise Agent, but I'm not utilizing it like I should, and Excel I can navigate a little bit better. So I just go in and I have all my lists and I have them all filtered, and that's how I track it. When a referral comes in, I mark it as a referral, who the referral came from. I write a thank you note to my referral and I send them a gift card, and that's basically how I'm tracking things right now. I don't do KV Core, I don't do any of those, but I can look at my database. It's kind of weird. I can look at my database and you could ask me any name in there and I could tell you everything about them. I just know I have all that stuff in my head. So I'm trying to get my systems in place during this gift of time, so that I can have that a little bit more managed and more streamlined moving forward when we're out of all this.
Right. Good. And Brian, what about you? How do you track your business?
So a couple of different things. So I use KV Core religiously, and I do as much automation as I possibly can through it, especially when it comes to lead gen and I get a lead and then I try to get them to be interested and engage, so I use KV Core and the automation available there as much as possible in that respect. And then once I get somebody who's interested and they've, had a conversation with me, then they basically go to my board in my office, and then I kind of work it backwards from there. I work it backwards from like, what's the closest thing to making me money? And then I go back. So if I've got deals in escrow, what do I need to do to get those closed? If I've got offers in, what do I need to do to get those accepted? Staying in front of people and that type of stuff. And so those are kind of the systems I have in place. Obviously, there's a lot more to those, and I could elaborate on that for a long time. But that's the kind of thing that excites me. I mean, I kind of like to nerd out on those things and, put this automation and stuff in place. Like I do a lot of that. I also have, so my automation, for example, I have it set to where it tells me when I need to call people, and then all I have to do is go into my little dashboard in KV Core and knock out the tasks that it tells me to do. Got that type of stuff going on. And then like everybody else had said, I use Excel for tracking my closes and, being able to analyze the patterns there, what lead source did I get, all that type of stuff.
So what they're doing is
who's talking right there? Did you finish, Brian? I'm sorry about somebody. Okay.
That's pretty much it. Yeah,
okay.
I definitely use systems.
Okay, great. Elizabeth, you've mentioned this several times about this is a unique time for us to be able to work on ourselves and work on our businesses. And we're blessed. We're so blessed to have eXp Realty, to have this format, to be able to have so many tools and opportunities to come into the cloud and come into the campus and learn and get education. But beyond that, how do each one of you invest in yourself, in your education, and do you have a coach? And Elizabeth, you want to go first on that one?
Sure. I don't have a coach. I've never had a coach. But during this time, I'm just immersing myself in training. And I mean, I just got all my CE classes done. I mean, again, it's like, oh my gosh, I got to get that done too. But I'm loving the training that our company provides. I mean, if you think about the top talent that we have, I mean, case in point, I'm in here learning when I'm not teaching. I want to learn from all these agents and what they're doing, because we're all doing things so differently. Like Brian and Ryan are talking about KV Core and their systems, and I'm like, yes, this is what I need to be doing, and I need to embrace that a little bit more. But one of our agents in Florida, she's really, really, really good at Instagram and creating her following. I mean, she's got like 11,000 followers, and she's great at Linktree. And I just reached out and I was like, okay, I need to pick your brain. And we sat on a Zoom for an hour and a half yesterday, and I learned and I soaked it all in. Chris out of Arizona, who was teaching me how she's doing the virtual open houses. It's just, we all kind of go in together. And so I'm staying on top of the classes and watching the class schedules that come out. because it makes me better, but also just learning from my fellow agents. I mean, there's no other company that collaborates in the way that we do. And so I think this is even more, and I'm not discounting coaching at all. And I'm not saying there's not value there, but for me and the way I learn, this is more valuable than any coaching session I could have.
Right. I'm definitely like that. What about you, Ryan? Don't leave us.
Sorry about that. But yeah, it's trying to get me to attack the crowd, I guess. But yeah, I'm similar in the fact that I have not ever done coaching as well. It's great for some people. For myself, I've taken the opportunity to actually jump in and do a lot of trainings, do a lot of YouTube videos, do a lot of research, trying to get the information that I see out there and have a lot of conversations. I think that's, to me, I tell everybody that I talk to that are considering EXP, that's the most beautiful thing about our company is I have never made a phone call or text or Facebook message or something to somebody that I wanted to pick their brain that wasn't more than happy to sit and give me as much time as they possibly could. And the ability to grow from that relationship and that learning and that understanding, and then being able to take it back into how that works in my environment, because we all have different markets, but different things work in different markets. But that's the beautiful thing, is the things somebody's doing in California they've probably never seen in Kentucky. So if I do those things, then it definitely gives us a leg up. So my main thing, like I said, is going in and watching videos, watching trainings, coming into the world and looking at that schedule and trying to utilize this extra, bonus time that we have now to work on things that I wanted to do, things that I thought was a great idea maybe a year and a half ago, and then you get busy, and then now you've got the time to, maybe do a podcast or, kind of start building some of your own training and things of that nature. So that way you can be, maybe a resource, bigger resource for somebody that's trying to kind of grow to those people that you leaned on in the beginning.
Right. All right. Thank you. What about you, Brian? How are you investing? Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have a coach, and I never have or anything. I do have a few agents, in my local market who I look up to a lot and bounce questions off every now and then and chat with and stuff. And so I have them, which is great. But what I tend to do is, in terms of investing in myself, is I do a lot of Audible books. I'm always, when I'm driving from showing to showing, I always have an Audible book going, it seems like. So that's one big one, but that's kind of a catch-22 there, because I think a lot of people have a tendency to want to get, you read a new book and then you want to tweak your plan and implement and all that stuff. So that's kind of a tough one. So just be careful if you do that, not to constantly get lost in the aiming, you still need to execute.
Right.
So that's one thing. And then also I do enjoy the different courses and stuff that are available. I tend to, gravitate towards the ones that I feel like are going to add value to, or going to differentiate me, or, make me better at what I do. And so, for example, the PSA certification, I think, is one that was awesome. Not only does it, make you stand out, but also it helps you to be better at what you do every day. And so I think that those are the types of things that I try to spend my time on, in terms of education and stuff. Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if everyone here in the auditorium is aware of this. Some of you are probably new and might not have been around when this happened last year. But if you go into Workplace, there's a group. It's just an open group called EXP. Is that EXP? Now I'm just drawing a blank. Listing presentations, and I believe last year there was a $5,000 award for the best listing presentation, as voted on by the people, the agents. But that is a great resource if during this time, if you want to just sharpen your listing presentation skills and sharpen your listing presentation, that's a great place to go and get some free resources there.
Vicki, that's a great suggestion, because I was actually looking at that and I was talking to, we do a morning huddle with a bunch of agents. I was telling them that the other day, because we were trying to figure out virtual, right? And there actually are some really good virtual suggestions in there too, to kind of tweak your listing presentation. But that's a great group in Workplace. Another great group that I love is Marketing Ideas and Shareables. And you can go in there and there's agents that are doing touches and things all the time. And why recreate the wheel? Just go in and let us all share and build each other up.
Right. And that is, we've said that multiple times. The collaboration with our company is just, it is just top. I can't even think of another company that collaborates, a real estate company that collaborates like we do. We share and we, just in forums like this, and each one of us up here on the stage. And I'm sure if you wanted to ask us a question and reach out to us, I'm happy to answer. And if I can't answer it, I'll point you in the right direction. But I don't know, do we typically in ICONversations, for some reason I'm drawing a blank, but I think the ones I've been in, we've had at the end, we just allow questions. Do y'all want to do that? Does anybody want to turn on their mics and have any questions for us?
Works for me.
Sure.
All right. Not everybody at once.
Hey, I have a question. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not sure if this was answered in the beginning. I came on a little late, but just curious, and it could be for anybody up there. At what point in your career did you hire an admin or feel that you needed to delegate some of your work out? And what percentage of your business do you refer out?
I can answer that. Hiring people for me was really scary, especially because of how my business is, and I can't really track where referrals are going to come from or what my business is. And so I didn't want to bring somebody on and let them down. So what I did is there was another agent, this was a different brokerage at the time, but there was another agent that worked similar to me, and we went in together and we hired a TC. So we were both part-time, but she had full-time work. That was a very, very good way for me to kind of tiptoe into it. And the TCs are per transaction, which made it a little bit more manageable. But I hired her about 8 years ago. And I will say that my business definitely skyrocketed once I took the things off my plate that I could do, but it's not in my best, my best skill set to be doing paperwork and things like that. When I took that off my plate and gave it to her, then my business completely changed. And I don't refer, if I get leads that come in from KV Core, or if I get sign calls, things like that, I don't work those. I will refer those out. And I just take referral fees if that happens, but I don't really know how many that would be per year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And all right. Anybody else?
I'll answer to my same deal as with my TC is basically the same as Elizabeth. Mine is split with another agent, and I pay her weekly regardless of how many transactions I have going, and it seems to be working out for both of us pretty well. And I don't refer out anything unless it's out of my area.
I will say, though, I've had a lot more referrals around the country received and referred out because of EXP, because of the network we have. That never happened before either. But if it's in my local market, it's like, unless it's something I really don't want, I keep it, because my business is all referral based, and I don't want to pass those referrals off. Kathy, you're asking what we pay them an hour. Are you talking about our TCs?
Well, you probably do that by transactions. Yeah, I'd love to, kind of just get ballpark idea on for your TCs, and then if you have any kind of admin, what you kind of average pay them per hour.
So my admin, I don't have an admin. That's one thing I'm working on right now, bringing on an administrative marketing assistant, if you will. And what I'm seeing in our market, I think every market's going to be a little bit different, but I'm seeing, based on experience, their market or the rate is anywhere from $16 to $20 an hour, sometimes $25. For my TC, I pay per transaction, and it depends on what side. If it's from contract to close, or I'm sorry, if it's listing to close, I believe I pay $700 per transaction. She just takes it out of my DA. And if it's just contract to close, I believe it's $325, something around that. But every market's going to be a little bit different. And mine is not licensed. That makes a difference too.
Thanks so much.
All right. Anybody else have a question?
I do.
Okay, Susanna, go ahead.
I'm just getting into the business. What do you suggest I do right now?
Just getting into it as in like how long?
I was just licensed like 2 months ago, so I'm brand new.
Okay.
Well, welcome.
Okay. Yeah.
First thing I would say, if I could, is I would just say, and this is because not just if you're starting the business, but while you're in the business for as long as you're in it, treat every opportunity to make money like gold. I made Icon. This is something I meant to say in the beginning. I made Icon status by $56.75, and so I mean every single transaction counts, whether it's a small piece of property or multi-million-dollar estate, whatever it is. I mean, treat every single opportunity like gold. Of course, go after what your target is and put everything towards going after that, but be opportunistic. And that's really the one thing I would say is, as we're starting out, just always stay opportunistic. Think about referrals, like Elizabeth had said. I mean, I had, I think, 10 different transactions in 2019 where I wasn't directly representing the buyer or seller. So, referrals of some sort where I got paid on them. And so just always being mindful of that stuff, thinking about, you heard your best friend over across the country thinking about buying or selling a house. Tell them like, hey, can I connect you with a realtor? Can I vet somebody out for you to make sure that you're working with somebody that knows what they're doing? That's an opportunity to make money. And I would just encourage you, think through those things and really treat every single one of those like gold. That would be best advice starting out.
And also, I think it's really important, to always look for ways and opportunities that you can do something for somebody else. I think, Elizabeth, you might have just said that. Wait a minute. Did you just say that? I was just reading your... Okay. Did y'all read what Elizabeth wrote? So that's pretty much, coming from a place of contribution. Was it Caitlin that asked the question? I don't know who was asking that question, but anyway, I wanted to address you personally. But anyway, I think that, Susanna, just looking for ways that you can be involved in your community, and especially during this time, look, there are a lot of nonprofits out there suffering, and I don't know what in your community, what the nonprofit, how many nonprofits you have, but look at the ones, the food banks, the places that are really in need right now. And you got a lot of children that are going without food because their main source of, food comes during their lunchtime at school. So look for ways that maybe do a food drive or, some ways you can help in that. That's a great way to get to know your community and a great way to give back.
Regarding what you can be doing now, what I tell agents that are in the business is make a list of everybody you know. Your hairdresser, your neighbors, everybody you know, and get in touch with them. Be a connector. I want to be the human resource, the human Rolodex for everybody, right? And so what I do is I will write a note to everybody I know, and I'm happy to share this with you. Isn't this fun with kids and dogs and life? Oh my gosh. I'm happy to share it with you if you want to reach out on Workplace, and I can email you like some sample letters I've done in the past. But just let everybody know that you're in real estate, because they can't use you or reach out to you if they don't know what you're doing. And so I sent out letters, and I did this in both markets. I sent out letters to everybody that I could, locally and not locally, because you're going to have cheerleaders and champions around the country, right? And so I wrote them all letters and I sent those out. And then I did not send business cards at that time. I waited for about another 2 weeks or so. And then I sent a handwritten note to everybody that I had sent a letter to, and just basically said, hey, I just wanted to check in, make sure you got my letter. I hope things are going well. Put whatever your personal touches on it. And here are a couple of my business cards I wanted to share. If you know anybody looking to buy, sell, or invest, I'd be honored to work with them. And so that's another excuse to touch them and reach out to them. And then from there, I set my marketing plan up in December. I pick 12 touches per year that I'm physically going to send out. I do 12 newsletters I'm going to send out, and then I do coffees and teas or lunches and stuff with people. That's a whole nother, that's my class. But anyway, then you can put them into your database and start touching them on a regular basis. And it's all about being consistent and just staying in front of them. So that's the best thing you can do as a new agent, is just make sure everybody knows that you are in real estate.
Can I add one to that real quick? And that's Ryan, unless you wanted to go because you haven't had a turn yet.
I was going to say one quick thing that I would add, because I think one of the things a lot of times people will not, or maybe put in the back of their mind, or they know, but they don't actually act on it, but is remember that am I there?
Yes.
Is remember that this is a business. And I think it's really important that whenever you have a business, that you have a business plan. So I think, especially in a time like this where you're just getting started, maybe a little bit slower than then we're all in a unique spot, is using that time to really sit down and write a business plan with goals, using a lot of the things that Vicki and Elizabeth talked about as well, with doing those things, but you have that in a specific plan. So that way you have action steps and you have ways to get from point A to point B.
And so one thing I wanted to add to that all real quick is, whether you're brand new to the business or you've been in the business a long time, something that I think is sound advice is, if you ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary Vee is kind of a real popular entrepreneur guy. And he says one of his biggest pieces of advice is to know what you suck at and embrace that. And so if you are socially awkward in a room, don't build your strategy around going out and trying to network at different events. Maybe you're better on the phone. Maybe, whatever those things are, just don't try to kid yourself about, being something that you're not. Just embrace what you are good at, what you're comfortable with, and really try to build your strategy around those things. And I think you'll be successful if you do that.
Good. And just become, for me, I know I've just become I've worked really hard for the past 5 years to become my community ambassador, and just let their voices be heard. And I've built a platform for their voices to be heard. And I've got about 10,000 followers on that platform for them to be able to come in. And we've been doing it virtually right now, just by Zoom calls, but let the community continue to get to know them. I think we can all do that. It's an easy thing to do, just to build other people up. All right. Anything else? All right. Well, I guess if that's, you guys can always reach out to each of us if you have further questions. And it was great to be with everyone today. And listen, go be blessed, and let's just keep moving forward and keep pressing forward. And we're all going to come out better on the other side of this. Everybody stay healthy and stay safe, okay?
Bye, y'all. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job, Icon.
We appreciate you guys.
Thank you.